Hey guys, welcome back to my lifting series. In this series, I basically perform every single set and rep according to the program that I am following. In this case, it is my Hypertrophy 1.0 program. You guys can download it in the description. No strings attached. It's completely free, and I would love it if you guys followed alongside me while I perform it. Anyways, we're at week 4, day 1, so we're actually almost done with this particular program. Today, I'm starting off with the Smith Machine bench press, the incline variation. It's kind of like a low incline, like a 30 degrees. I like having kind of a lower incline instead of more of a steeper one, because the steeper you get up, the more upper chest and front delt and side delt you're going to be using. So you're going to be using a little bit more shoulder versus when it's lower, you're going to be getting more of the whole chest, which is what we're trying to train in this particular case. Anyhow, I went up another 10 pounds. So we're up to, I believe that this is 195. I'm not really gonna go for a specific rep goal for this exercise. I'm just gonna try and get to failure, get as many as I can, barring that I get 6 and over. That's kind of my goal, is 6 and over. And then with week 4, we're actually up to 20 sets per body part for this week. So it's a ton of volume. And I think that 20 sets is on the upper limit of how much somebody can recover from in most cases. So we worked our way up to this. We earned it fair and square. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to be rather challenging. 4 sets of this is going to be a lot. Well, let's get it. Okay. That was definitely until failure. I don't think that I could have completed another full range of motion repetition. Sure, it wouldn't have hurt for me to at least try. But in this case, for the first set, I think that was great. I'll take it, you know. I'm not going to lie. Today I'm going much later than I normally do. I normally like to go, just a couple hours after waking. But due to just how the day's events unfolded, I'm here an hour before the gym closes at 10 p.m. at night. So we're going to have to kind of speed run this one a little bit. I'm going to try my best to not have my sense of urgency diminish the sets and reps that we perform. However, sometimes that's just the case. Sometimes you gotta play the hand that you were dealt, so to speak. And today I'm dealt a hand that, feels a little rush, a little sense of urgency. However, we're gonna play it the best way that we can. You know what I mean? I feel like that set was a carbon copy of the first set. Something like that I like to touch on is my hand positioning when I'm doing a bench press of pretty much any sort. And, some guys and girls like to do, wide with their elbows almost at 90. That will engage the chest to a larger degree because of the nature of where your elbow is. If your elbow is tighter to your body, you're going to be naturally using your triceps more to extend your elbow joint. So it really depends on how much tricep you want involved. And also when you're way out here, you're putting your shoulder under a slightly compromised, position. So if you are somebody that's prone to shoulder problems, maybe stay clear of that, that form. I kind of like my elbows kind of in that 45-degree range. So I'm getting kind of the best of both worlds. That just feels comfortable for me. And what that looks like is, the bar is hitting right around the nipple line or so. And then it's kind of like just a shoulder width sort of grip. And that just feels the most natural for me. I've played around with it a lot. And what I find is just whatever feels best for your anatomy is probably the best way to go. You don't want the weights working against you. I've said that before, but you'd ideally have the equipment working with you, with your individualized anatomical structure. You'd probably want that, because if it's not working with you, if you're fighting against it, if it feels wrong, then it probably is, like you'll probably run into some problems later down the road, or at the very least not progress as you should. So I'm getting even more stressed for time, so we're gonna not spend too much longer for rest periods. Just a few more. You guys do this where you check your wrist like you have a watch? I was wearing a watch all day, and it's just that action. Even though I'm not wearing a watch, I'm still checking my my wrist like I have a time device on it. Enough yapping. Let me get into it. So let's see, I'm about shoulder width. Ooh, that last rep was quite the grinder. And see, I'm kind of paying for shortening the rest periods because I did just get 2 reps shy of my previous 2 sets, where I got 10 and then 10 and then now it's 8. So not ideal, but it's what needs to be done in this case. Okay, last set of our primary chest mover for the day, our primary compound lift. Let's get it. Going for at least 8. Oh. Shit, I only got 7. Oh well, I mean, it was till failure, so I can't complain too much. And I know that was for a fact a failure because of the nature of my butt inherently rose, so that the lever to push my chest became easier. That's a total cue of form breakdown for a bench press. However, I haven't done an all program. That's the first time I've done that for a very long time, so I guess it's all good for now. Next up, we're adding in some more compound, another compound lift for the chest. And in this case, we're doing the machine incline chest press, so we get even more of that clavicular head of the chest, some more volume. And by the way, guys, if you're trying to target a specific portion of the chest and think that that's being targeted in isolation, I guarantee it is not. Whenever you're hitting a given lift for a certain body part, you're going to be hitting that whole entire part of the muscle. Of course, there's probably some areas that you are going to be hitting it slightly harder. Like for this lift, for example, it's going to be hitting the clavicular or the upper portion of the chest a little bit more. However, you're not going to be hitting that in isolation. Whenever you're using a given muscle group, you're going to be hitting the whole muscle inherently, no matter what you do. So it's just something to think about, because I know that guys, like, they'll really emphasize their like toe position when they're like squatting or leg pressing. I've never been one to emphasize that. I think that it's not the biggest like factor when you're trying to target a certain part of a muscle. You know, I don't think that I would personally put much emphasis on it. People love to overcomplicate their training. I think that when you're trying to make things more complex, it should be for fun, you know. I mean, there's tried and true exercises and routines for a reason. So whenever you're adding a bunch of complexity, that should just be to mix things up, try something new, have a little bit of fun with your training. Anyway, enough yapping. We went up, I'm going up 10 more pounds, so we're up to 140 on this. We're going till failure, of course. Okay. I think that was a good set. However, I absolutely despise it when I get partial reps towards the end and then I end up getting a full rep. It doesn't seem right to me. I feel like the partials should be exclusively at the end. So something inside of me decided to give up a little bit early. That's what that tells me. Because if nothing inside me like tried to give up, then the partials would have been at the very end. They wouldn't have been, you know, a few reps before the end. There we go. That order of operations felt a lot better to me. Something else is just not quite related, but I like to have my arm path mimic the bar path. So for example, these kind of converge in and go up a little bit, and therefore, I mean not therefore, but I'm stacking my limbs against this, so I'm creating the best leverage that I possibly can for this exercise. And every exercise I do, I try and do this. If you're pushing and your elbows are way up here, do you think that you're gonna be having the same power and strength output? No way, no way. Because you'd be kind of pushing down when the machine wants to go up. You know, it's the same thing if you're pushing up like this, like it's a shoulder press. Why would you do that when the bar path is going like this? And therefore you want to stack your limbs the best that you can. Whew. Oh man, it's kind of a tough one. Made it through though. Next up for the shoulders, I got 5 sets of the barbell upright row. I'm going up 10 pounds. We're going up to 90 because I got 12 reps on every single set last time. So let's go for 12 again. That's definitely approaching my limit for the barbell upright row, especially 5 sets. 5 sets is a ton in my opinion. I know I said this last time, but I think that 5 sets is like a little bit approaching a little bit too much for me because I get bored of being at one exercise for too long, and I tend to kind of rush my sets a bit towards the end when it's 5 or more sets. I think 4 is really the upper limit, and then 5 is like a little bit too much. However, we're obviously gonna do it because this is the last week of the program, guys. And by the way, this program is meant to be modified and repeated. You know, it's something that you could run in perpetuity if you change it correctly. And what I mean by that is once your lifts start to stall on a given exercise, change that exercise out. You know, and that's the main thing that I would be doing with this program, because the program, it has progressive overload by design. Every week we're going up in sets, so we're naturally increasing volume, and thus we're getting a hypertrophic effect no matter what. You know, it's going to be there no matter what. So just whenever you start to stall or you get bored of an exercise, change it out. You know, and who knows? I mean, I'm not planning per se to run this program or modify it right now, but I may go back to it later on if I feel like I want to. You know, that's the cool thing about lifting is this is a freaking journey. You know, it's gonna last you your whole life, and there if you do it properly, and therefore you gotta have fun. You know, I don't want too much rest. That's 2 down. 3 more to go, guys. Ooh. That was a tough few reps. I would categorize those reps under cheat reps. If you guys notice, I kind of bent down a little bit and used some momentum to carry the weight up. Here's my opinion on cheat reps. I would try and use them sparingly. I didn't intend to use them, but I really wanted to hit that rep goal, so I used them. And they definitely lend themselves better to certain exercises. You know, like I wouldn't be out there doing cheat reps on a barbell bench press. That's one way to get your shit snapped up, you know what I mean? But an exercise like this where it's easy to bail, you know, I could easily just drop the weight, be fine. it lends itself better to cheat reps for sure. Okay, I'm getting even tighter on time, so we're just gonna get right back into it. I'd rather finish the workout than be cut off just because, you know, you know what I'm trying to say. Oh man. Okay, next up, I'm moving on to the dumbbell side lateral raises. So we're focusing on the lateral deltoid, the one that's responsible for making your shoulder look pretty wide and widening your overall appearance. I really like the seated variation because we're removing a lot of the muscles that may want to assist whenever you are intending to just really focus on one muscle group. I like to add some sort of stability component. In this case, sitting down is a stability component. I would prefer there to be some back support, so you're not swaying your back as much. It's by the nature of the exercise, but this is what I have access to right now. So we're also doing 5 sets of these. Sorry about doing the tongue out. I hate it when I do that. Sometimes when I get carried away, the tongue comes out, unfortunately. Well, what are you gonna do, you know? To be honest, this isn't my like number one side deltoid fly variation. It's not my number one because at the bottom, like range of the motion of the movement, you're not getting any stimulus at all. All you're doing is just holding the weight, so you're only getting like forearm activation, which, you know, we're trying to train the side delt, not the forearm. So that's why I really love like cable variations, because with a cable variation, there's constant tension no matter what you do because you're constantly being pulled. With a dumbbell, you're really at the mercy of gravity. So if you were to make this one worth it, if you're like leaning on like an incline bench on your side, that's a good way to do it. The reason why I chose this variation for this program is because, especially when we're up to like these 5 sets, I want the bilateral variation. I want to be doing with 2 arms so that I don't have to do literally 10 sets. And that's the reason why I programmed that. I think that if you were to add like an improvement to this program, in hindsight, I'd probably start off with the like incline variation, and then once we get to like more sets, and then swap to the bilateral seated variation, you know. And that's set number 2. We just got 3 more to go. I'll probably reduce the rest periods a little bit further. We don't need to be resting like a ton of time, especially when I think I only got like 15 more minutes in this gym. So it's just kind of where we're at. I do think that, a lot of you guys probably aren't actually running my program. But no matter what program you're running, if your goal is like to have a nicer physique, if your goal is to like look better in any regard, I wouldn't skip out on the shoulder training, especially the fly variations. I think that they're so important if your goal is aesthetically based. You know what I mean? If you just want to look like wider and stuff, like you got to be including some sort of lateral fly. You don't really need front delt flies. You don't need to do front raises. And the reason for that is I'm assuming that you guys are doing a lot of pressing, a lot of bench press to build your chest. And by nature of that being a compound lift, it's working the elbow joint and the shoulder joint. Just by moving your shoulder up like this, you're getting the front deltoid to a huge degree. So, and I think that this is a very like commonly agreed upon logic, everybody kind of agrees on that. And that's why pretty much any program you run, if it's not your own, you're going to be seeing no front raises. It's just pressing movements and then, flies for the side deltoid in the rear. In the future, I may program like a ultra range of motion fly just to get every single ounce of the range of motion that we possibly can. But since I started with this variation, I'm not about to change it up on week 4, I think that whatever you guys choose, I wouldn't just go around changing it right off the bat, At least give the movement a chance. At least give it like 4 or 5 or 6 weeks just to really feel it out before you make any radical decisions. That's what I think anyway. I used to try and like write programs just for the novelty sake. I'd write up some programs where the extras, like no 2 days are the same, like ever. Like it's always going to be slightly different. And yeah, that's fun because you walk into the gym and you don't really know exactly what to expect. And every day is a little bit of something new. That's fun. However, I don't think that it's ideal for muscle growth because you need to get better at movements in order to get stronger at them. There's a whole nervous system component to get stronger. I mean, that's one of the primary ways to get stronger is your body adapts to a lift and it gets better at recruiting those motor units in order to move the weight, move it with force. So if you're not giving your body time to adapt, you're not going to get stronger. And size and strength are very, very highly correlated. They're entangled, if you will. All right, that was 4. Just got 1 more to go. And then I think we're going to finish off chest with a few sets of the machine flies. And then we'll see how much triceps we can get done. Triceps are definitely the lowest thing on the totem pole in terms of, if something has to go because of time, it's going to be my triceps. Not only because their program lasts on this day, but also because they're already getting worked during the chest movements. So we've already hit our triceps, so they're gonna have something to write home about. They're gonna have a reason to grow already. So it's okay, since this is just the nature of today, that I miss a little bit of tricep work, but we're gonna try our best not to. I'm gonna try and fly through this. All right. With any fly, but especially this variation, the machine chest fly, the pec deck, if you will, really try and get that maximum range of motion, that maximum stretch that you possibly can, because that's the strong point of this exercise. The strong point of this exercise is that you get that really opening up of your rib cage, really getting that nice stretch on the chest. That's the advantage of a fly. I mean, that's really the only advantage that I see over something like a compound bench press of any sort, is that with the fly variation, you get that maximum stretch and you get a little bit of adduction of the arm across the body, but you can also mimic that with a lot of the compound bench movements. You can totally mimic it with like something like that machine chest press that we did. That's a converging chest press. The dumbbell variation of like, we'll be doing on day 4 of this week. We're getting adduction of the arm across the body when we're doing any dumbbell bench press. But that's why I like to include a fly, so that we get that maximum stretch and that pump. Not an ideal set, I wouldn't say, but I still got 10 reps. So I'll take it. And then we just got one more of chest. And then I think I'm going to have to call it for this particular day, because the gym is closing in like 5 minutes. If I have like a minute, I may crank out some tricep pushdowns just for a little bit of extra tricep volume, but we're cutting it close. I'm going to be doing that off camera for sure. So we're just going to finish up this chest movement, and then we'll part ways until tomorrow. Okay? How's that sound? Ooh. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed week 4, day 1. This program is coming to a close. I can't wait to be able to dissect it and see what I love and what I could change. But Hope you guys enjoyed this one. See you tomorrow for week 4, day 2.